Our attention to some March Madness because, yeah, I know we've all thrown our brackets out already, or they're burning in the fire of the dumpster that is our bracket choices. Most of us, I can't speak for everyone, but I understand at this point there are no perfect brackets left. So we want to talk about what is to come here. Nick Carboni is joining us, our sports director here at WCNC Charlotte. So first question, Nick. Did you get those cheese curds in Milwaukee?
I didn't, but I had plenty of other great Milwaukee fare, including my favorite Milwaukee and Wisconsin-based beverage. So it was a great trip to Milwaukee. Unfortunately, for Tar Heels fans, it didn't last very long. They lost in the first round, had gotten there by way of the first four, and man, just Ole Miss couldn't miss, and they still haven't. They beat Iowa State like a drum too, and they're in the Sweet 16. So tough out for North Carolina. That magical March run, we all kind of thought maybe kind of downloading after that win in Dayton, just never got off the ground.
Yeah, definitely a shorter trip than I think a lot of folks maybe expected based on how they were performing as of
2
late,
days earlier, it's like, wow, okay, this is a team that is ready to make a deep run and is going to hit shots and is going to be able to handle another team on defense. I did not expect Ole Miss to come out and shoot like they did. I expected them to play defense and try to turn the ball over like they did, but to hit all those early shots, I mean, that just sank Carolina, and they still came back and got it within 2 points.
Yeah. All right. Well, for better or for worse, depending on which fan you are, as far as local teams now carrying the torch, we've got Duke coming up.
Yeah, and Duke is the only ACC team in it. This is the first NCAA tournament ever, Vanessa, where it's all the kind of power conferences. It's Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and ACC, but Duke is carrying the water for the entire Atlantic Coast Conference right now. Everybody else was an early exit, but if you're going to have a team give your conference a shot to win it, you'd like to have Duke. I mean, they seem like they are built to be there in April when it's all said and done, in the Final Four, perhaps in the national final. And they kind of seem like the UConn of the last 2 years, where they just don't have a lot of flaws, especially now that they have Cooper Flagg back and he is in full health. They just seem like such a tall task to beat, figuratively and literally. They're the longest team in NCAA basketball, and that matters when it comes to defense, rebounding, shooting. They've got it all. So if you're going to have a team represent you, just one team for your league, Duke's probably the one you want.
Well, and you talked about Cooper Flagg. I mean, we saw this resounding victory over Baylor. What was it, a 23-point differential?
Yeah. They've won their 2 games by 67 points.
Well, and Cooper Flagg, it looked like wasn't even the top scorer of the team that game.
They've got Con Knippel, they've got Malawach, they've got Isaiah Evans from here in Charlotte, they've got Tyrese Proctor, who was the one that carried the load scoring-wise, Aziaha James, an experienced guard transfer from Tulane, who's you got to hit on your transfers in this transfer portal era, and they did. So we saw in the ACC tournament, even with Flagg out, they were a very, very formidable team, and they still are in the NCAA tournament, especially now with Cooper back.
So Duke, Arizona, Thursday. Sounds like this is a late tip.
About 9:40, and we'll see how the game before it goes. There's some really fun storylines, though. I don't know if anybody caught the end of the Arizona game that booked their ticket into the Sweet 16. They're led by Caleb Love, who is was a Tar Heel, when he beat Duke with Arizona last year in Cameron. He had a reference to being a Tar Heel written on his shoes. Ooh. So he is primed for this matchup. It is still a rivalry for him. In fact, when he was asked on the broadcast about what it would take to beat Duke, you could tell he wanted to say something. Yeah. And he kind of held it in. So I'm curious what his emotions are going to be. And then we have another local product on the floor for Arizona in that game, Jaden Bradley, who's from Rochester, New York, played at IMG Academy, but had a stop at Cannon School here in the Charlotte area and was North Carolina Player of the Year. So there's some cool storylines in Duke, Arizona. I mean, you talk about all these big brands left in the Sweet 16. Those are two blue bloods that are going to go at it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly must have a lot of chutzpah to go into Cameron indoor with some anti-Duke rhetoric on his apparel.
He was kind of known as a streaky shooter personality at North Carolina, but he still carries that rivalry with him, even though he's at Arizona now. So he is going to be SEC, he's going to be charged up for that one. And we'll see if it leads to the ball going in the bucket, which was always kind of the question with him here.
All right. So some interesting storylines to watch and obviously a great game to tune in for. Once again, that's Thursday. Anything else that you're keeping an eye on? I know your favorite, UConn, didn't make it past Florida.
Yeah, and I didn't think they would. Looking at my own bracket, I actually got that matchup right because Florida, we saw them here against North Carolina in Charlotte earlier in the season. They are really good, and they have a lot of pieces too. I mean, they're kind of like the Duke of the SEC. They're very, very talented at all positions, very athletic, have good touch from outside. Curious to see if this Ole Miss team can keep doing what it's doing. They've got Michigan State. We all talk about Izzo and March with the Spartans, but Chris Beard for Ole Miss, who's kind of been a well-traveled, and it's been well-documented as to why, but he's landed in Oxford, Mississippi, and he is clearly taking them to new heights as a basketball program right now. We'll see what Maryland can do after that buzzer beater. At least we had one buzzer beater over the first weekend from Derek Queen there. Just looking at the list, Tennessee, I would love to see if Rick Barnes can get into the Elite Eight and maybe Final Four. Houston, Purdue should be great. BYU, if you want to say there's a Cinderella, even though there's no traditional Cinderella and they come from a big conference now, they'll be interesting to watch against Alabama because they would kind of be our Cinderella at this point.
Well, we pointed out earlier on in the tournament, and it seemingly is still ringing true as we're getting down now to some of our more finalized rounds. A lot of SEC that you called out there.
Listen, half the conference was ranked, half the conference got in, and you've still got Ole Miss, Auburn, Florida, Arkansas with John Calipari. You got a SEC matchup in the Sweet 16 with Kentucky and Tennessee. Alabama has been a really good program for the last couple of years under Coach Nate Oates. So that's a conference that has invested in basketball, invested into coaching, and a lot of people would like to see the ACC step their game up and do that as well.
Yeah. All right. This has been it's always fun to chat, offline off of the big studio with you sports.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've always got a lot to say in the commercial break about sports, so now we can bring it in here.
All right. How's your bracket doing before I let you go?
Not good. I went through it finally, and there's a lot of crossing out and not a lot of highlighting. So not good. I am towards the bottom of our WCNC bracket pool, towards the bottom of my family bracket pool. I'm not sure which is worse for me, but it's not been good. But the three of my Final Four are still in, Auburn, Duke, and Houston. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I picked St. John's to win it all. So
I had them in the Final Four. That's the missing piece now. Yeah, they blew it.
I will say, I feel like I need to speak up for you in the sense of I feel like historically, no matter which newsroom I've worked in, the sports team never does great, and I think it's because y'all know so much about sports.
We need to start picking by the mascots.
You're just like maybe overthinking it.
Yeah. Oh, overthinking to a fault. Absolutely. Yeah. I overthought the heck out of this.
It's only because you know so much. You know too much.
Thanks for the credit.
All right, Nick Carboni, our sports director here at WCNC Charlotte. Thanks for stopping by to talk a little March Madness. I'm feeling very mad about my bracket too.
Yeah, I think that's the mad part.
Okay.